Good morning, student.
Morning, madam.
How are you today?
I'm good, madam.
So today we are going to start with a new topic, which is climate change. Right? Climate change. So before we start to discuss climate change, firstly, I want to ask people if you have any questions regarding the previous lesson that we have done
No, madam.
in our class. Regarding soils, do you have any? Okay. Since you don't have any questions, so let's begin our new topic. So before that, let's look at lesson outcomes. So at the end of this lesson, students will be able to define what is climate change. They will know the causes, effects, and some solutions of climate change. So before I start, I would like to ask you, you people might have some fair idea of what is climate change is, because you people have done this topic since when you were in primary, yes or no?
Yes, madam.
So let's get started to it. We will start by defining what is climate change, right? So basically, climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperature. So let's record. Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperature. Basically it is an unusual weather pattern taken over a long period of time. What can you say about climate change? What have you learned? What is climate change in your own words? Same as this, long-term shifts which are changing over and over in our environment, right? So let's see the notes. Refer to your notes, please. So climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. These shifts may be natural, but since the 1800s, human activities have been the main driver of climate change. That means humans are contributing largely to climate change, primarily due to the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil and gas, which produces heat, trapping gases. Like when we see the climate change happening like in seasons, sometimes getting hotter and heavy rainfall. When we see in seasons, that means we are referring to the weather conditions from November to April. Like when we see in that time, the weather becomes really hot, right? Isn't it? Due to drought. And what is drought? Long-term dryness in environment.
Water.
Yeah. Simply, there is no water. Example, desert. We can simply say that in desert there is no water. So we can say there is drought. And sometimes here too in Fiji, there is a lot of drought taking place. And now, in which we are living in this weather, drought is happening, isn't it? So drought is one thing, and when we see from November to April, we see there is a lot of rainfall taking place, which is heavy rainfall. And why it is happening? Because of climate change. We never know what like the weather. We don't know what weather might it be tomorrow, or what weather it might be today, because weather is changing in seasons. So let's look at some of the causes of climate change. Let's look at some of the causes of climate change. First one, we will look at manufacturing goods. contributes to climate change. As I am discussing, you can write the notes, okay? Put out the notes. Finish?
Yes, madam.
So, manufacturers, look at the notes first, then I will explain. Manufacturing and industry produces emissions mostly from burning of fossil fuels to produce energy for making things like cement, iron, steel, electronics, plastics, clothes and other goods. Mining and other industrial processes also releases gas and thus the construction industry. This means that when we see manufacturing goods, example the metal industry, the industries where they are making goods like food, clothing, all that manufacturing processes makes these things, and they uses fossil fuels, gas, oil to fuel their engines, to fuel their what you call their machines, right? Their machines, they're generating power to make all these goods, and from there they are contributing really bad consequences, which is climate change. How can this happen? If they are making all this, they are generating power and they are using their machines to fuel it, and the machines releases gas, oil. Some of them are using gas, some of them are using oil, right? And some are using fossil fuels. And if they are using it, this makes the weather polluted, right? This makes the weather polluted. This is how manufacturing goods makes it really worse, make it worse, the environment in which we are living. Let's discuss some more causes of climate change. The other one is cutting down of trees, mainly deforestation. I hope you know this term in your from primary and secondary. Your law forms, you will also referring to that terms. So cutting down of trees, deforestation simply means cutting down of trees to create farms, to create buildings, large buildings, and pastures, and for reclamation of land. They are building roads. When trees they are cut, they release the carbon dioxide. Destroying them also limits the nature's ability to keep emissions out of atmosphere. What it means that if humans they take out carbon dioxide and taking oxygen, they are plants they take up carbon dioxide, and this like if there are not lot of trees, if lot of trees are cut down, then they are really becoming the environment really become polluted, yes, and the oxygen, the fresh oxygen is not there because people are cutting down trees and there are not a lot of trees now. So that's why it creates humans' health. The human's health is affected, right? From there, the human health is affected, and also the animals also. Thirdly, we will see producing food. Producing foods also causes climate change. How? Let's see the notes. Producing food causes emissions of carbon dioxide, methane, and other greenhouse gases like grazing, digestion by cows and sheep, the production and use of fertilizers and manure for growing crops. All this makes food production a major contributor to climate change. Right? If humans are producing food for another human, like they are selling, then that building is creating food, and it releases methane gases, carbon dioxide gases, and it directly affects the environment, right? Using of fertilizers, there is no fresh vegetables and fruits that it will consume by the humans, then the human will be affected, their health will be affected, and the environment also, because fertilizers and methane gases are also harmful to the environment. So that's why producing food in the industrial areas is really bad. So these were some of the causes that we are looking at. If you want to discuss any, if you want to tell any of the causes, you may like to discuss it. Yes? No? No, then let's look at some effects. So now we will look at some of the effects of climate change. Let's look at some of the effects. What are some of the effects you know? Any effects you know you want to discuss? Effects of climate, let's see the notes. Effects of climate change. The first effect will be hotter temperatures in the environment. The environment will become hotter and hotter day by day. Right? That is one effect. Let's see the notes. As greenhouse gas concentrations rise, so does the global surface temperature. Nearly all land areas are seeing more hot days and heat waves. There will be more and more concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. If there will be more concentration of greenhouse gases, then the environment will become more polluted, right? And the environment will become hotter and hotter day by day. Higher temperatures increase heat-related illness and make walking outdoors more difficult. So if the higher temperatures will rise, then for humans it is difficult them to walk in outdoors, isn't it? The ultraviolet rays will affect the skin of the humans, isn't it? If these things happen, the higher temperatures, the higher, the sunlight, sun's heat, sun's rays will be affecting the human health and making it worse, right? So the other one is, number one was hotter temperatures. Number two, we will see there will be more severe storms. More severe storms. If this climate change will become worse, then obviously there will be huge storms taking place in the environment. So let's see the note. Destructive storms have become more intense and more frequent in many regions. As temperatures rise, more moisture evaporates, which then causing extreme rainfall and flooding, causing more destructive storms. So basically he is telling, if there will be if the weather keeps on changing like this, if some of the time people are saying we can't take this type of weather, like it's very hot nowadays, people are saying, oh my god, I can't take it anymore. If this keeps on affecting the environment, the heat rays, surely it will become into severe storms. The storms can come, right? For climate change. If climate change happens, obviously the time in November and December there will be storms warning upcoming. So this is why there is a storm warning. All is because of climate change is happening, right? Understood up here?
Yes, madam.
So let's see number 3. Number 3 is increased drought. Effect is increased drought. Now we see our environment is becoming hotter. In these areas, let's see the notes. Climate change is changing water availability, making the area dry in the region. Droughts can also stir destructive sand and dust storms that can that the billions of tons of sand across continents. That means if the drought continues like this, the areas will become very, very dry, and from that there can be lack of water availability in the environment. Right? Number 4, loss of species. Due to the effects of climate change, if the climate change happens, the effect could be loss of species. The species may die off. You know, some of the giant humans also die because of chronic cancer. The skin becomes really bad. Some of them can't take it, the extreme weather condition. Same applies to animals. They can't take some of the environment, some of the tropical zones that they are in. Like for example, some can't take heavy rainfall every time drought. It's all causing species to lose its life. So some species may become endangered, some become extinct due to that climate change. Yeah? Yes or no?
That's better.
So let's look at the notes. Climate change poses risks to the survival of species on land in the ocean. About 1 million species at a risk of becoming extinct. Within the next few decades, forest fires, extreme weather, and invasive pests and diseases are among many threats related to climate change. Simply, loss of species is due to climate change, and how it will affect it will make the area more worse. That's why some of the species will not able to survive and they become extinct. Number 5. Number 5 is not enough food. The effects could be not having enough food for animals and humans. If there will be no food availability for animals and humans, then there could be large extinct of the species of humans and as well as animals, right? So climate change is affecting drastically. That's why, therefore, we need to minimize this. This is all happening because of humanity. If humans doesn't produce coal, fossil fuels, gas, it will not affect the environment. So the main point is all humans. Humans are causing all these effects. There will be more health risks. Right? More health risks. Let's see the notes. Climate change impacts are already harming health. Through air pollution, disease, extreme weather events, forced displacement, pressures on mental health, and increased hunger and poor nutrition in places where people cannot grow or find sufficient food. Right? Changing weather patterns are expanding diseases, and extreme weather events increase deaths and make it difficult for healthcare systems to keep up. For example, there were a disease in 2020, COVID-19. How it began? Just because of climate change, yes or no? How climate change? People were not taking precautions. People were not we see that COVID was because of coughing, right? It started in China. So if people, all this is happening, how? I'm telling you. So how COVID was spreading? Due to unrestriction, people were not following rules. Due to this, the impacts become worse, and the climate is adapting to the environment, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Then from there, if people will not take precautions, then the COVID-19 can spread throughout the environment. So from there, COVID-19 has started to develop throughout the countries. Okay. So now we will come to some solutions of climate change. What can be some of the solutions? Written this?
Yes, madam.
So quickly we will talk about solutions to climate change. What can be some of the solutions? You people know? Avoid. First one will be avoiding deforestation. Right? So let's see the note. Instead, we can plant more trees. Afforestation, doing planting more trees, so that there can be a fresh air that humans can breathe and avoiding harmful gases that humans causes. Number 2, save energy at home. As I was telling you people, at home, in my village, there was generator. So instead of oil, fossil fuel gases, we can use water instead of generating the power. Solar, yes. Yeah, we can use solar to charge in by sunlight. So let's see the notes. Much of our electricity and heat is produced by coal, oil and gas. Use less energy by lowering your heat and cooling. Thirdly, eat more vegetables instead of junks food, instead of meat that are being processed in the environment, in the industrial processes. Eating more vegetable fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts and seeds can significantly lower environmental impact. Producing plant-based foods generally results in fewer greenhouse gas emissions and requires less energy than emission. And fourthly, and the last one is reduce. Practice reduce, reuse, and recycle. Electronics such as clothes and other items we buy causes carbon dioxide emissions at each point in production. We simply using at each production we will use these all, just use machines. Some people are sewing with hands, right? So that should be minimized. So let's see. The attraction of raw materials to manufacturing and transporting goods to market. To protect our climate, buy fewer things, shop second-hand clothing, repair what you can, and recycle. Okay? Any questions, anyone?
No, madam.
Recycle means you can recycle things like your clothes, old things like in household things. Reduce the things that can be harmful to the environment, like using machines, right? Reduce that. And we can reuse our old stuffs like generally like kitchen utensils, We can do all this to reduce climate change. So any questions for that?
No,
You don't have
madam.
any. You have not. If you have not understood anything, you can ask now. So if no questions,
No,
no
madam.
questions, then we call it a day. So today we have discussed what is climate change, the causes and effects, the solutions we have talked about. So if no questions, then I will be giving you some homework, and your homework for tonight is go and read these notes hardly, deeply from your breath. You have to see the YouTube videos if you want from YouTube, okay? Go in depth, okay? In this type of, because this is a very lengthy notes and you have to minimize it by yourselves. Revise, and this will come into your test, okay? So thank you students for
Thank you.
Thank you.